What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. So as someone who's trying to improve at Fortnite, winning box fights consistently is a really difficult goal to accomplish. And with regard to winning box fights, a big key is going to be knowing the best strategies and tricks you can use to outplay skilled players. So that's why in today's video, I'll be giving you guys some useful box fighting tips in Fortnite Chapter 4. These tips are going to be fairly easy to do but provide fantastic results in terms of helping you get more kills and win more fights. These tips are going to range from some that are nice and simple up to a pretty advanced level, so there's going to be something for everyone here. Before we get into it though, be sure to drop a like on the video if it helps you out, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this in the future, and of course it would really mean a lot to me if you could use code Teckoh in the item shop. It seriously helps me out a bunch, and thank you so much to everyone who uses it. With that said though, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alrighty guys, so getting into the first tip of this video, and this one is so important for the beginner to intermediate players out there, and that is to avoid 50-50s. So what a lot of people do when they're in a box fight or something like that is they'll be like fighting and doing whatever they're doing, and say they grab the wall and they make an edit. What a lot of people are going to do with this edit is they'll just make a wide open edit where their opponent can totally see them. Like for example, just a straight up window edit and I get whacked in the face. Or say I do something like I just walk in and just get stomped on, for example. And that is a big problem because you have this piece control here, but what you're doing is instead of going for a good play, going for a right hand peek and taking advantage of your opponent's bad situation, what a lot of people do is they literally just do a stupid edit and they just walk in on their opponent and the fight's over. And the same thing of course applies when you're inside of the box like this. A lot of people, like, they're getting their wall pressured and they'll literally just run out and like shoot at their opponent and they'll end up getting killed. The big problem with this is that your skill is actually not able to shine. You're not able to really do much because you're kind of just walking in their face and hoping that you win. So taking 50-50s is a really bad habit, and I know a lot of you guys are doing it. And honestly, if your opponent has good aim and they're able to predict what you're doing, you're basically going to die 9 times out of 10 when you do that. So that's a very bad habit that you should definitely try to drop if you're doing it. I know that's a pretty simple tip, but that's something that so many players mess up on. So if you see yourself doing that in your gameplay, definitely work on that. Alrighty guys, so getting into our second tip here, and we've got pre-firing. So as you probably know, pre-firing is such an important skill, being able to predict your opponent and basically just get free shots on them. So there's two different types of pre-fires. One is pre-firing basically through a build, and the other is pre-firing when your opponent makes an edit. So first up, pre-firing through a build. Let's say for example, I box up and my opponent's going after my wall. I can do something like that. So as you can see, I'm basically getting these shots off right as the wall is broken. Of course, the timing isn't perfect every single time, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing here, we'll do this in slow motion, is my opponent's breaking the wall and they fully break it. And when they break it, there's a very small delay right here where they haven't built the wall and they haven't been able to replace it basically. And I'm able to basically sit here, shoot them, and maybe even claim the wall back. So basically what we're doing is we're taking advantage of this tiny little delay that they have when they're trying to take the wall. So essentially, when you do this in full motion, you're essentially shooting through the wall and you're maybe even able to claim it back. This tip has actually been around for a very long time, I think since chapter 2, but I still don't see hardly any people using it at all. Like literally, I'm one of like the 5 people I've seen actually doing this tip consistently, and it works insanely well, especially when you're under heavy pressure. So once again, I'll just show you guys what this looks like in full speed. Basically, your opponent's pickaxing your wall or they're shooting at it, whatever it might be. And you're just timing that shot right there, shooting them basically straight in the face. And as you can see, if you're getting pressured like that, you can literally deal 140 damage or something like that, or some crazy amount, and entirely turn the fight around. So with that said, guys, one thing to understand here is that this is going to take a long time to master since the timing is so precise. So what I recommend you do is just go into creative just like we are right now and have a friend pickaxe your wall, and you basically just practice the timing of it. As you can see, even I'm not perfect at it. I do a lot more consistently in game. But it'll definitely take a while to master the timing of it, but it's a super useful tip and something I definitely recommend you guys use. So we're still going over the same tip of pre-firing here, but this is kind of like another variation of that. So we already went over how to pre-fire on defense and basically get a shot straight through a wall when your opponent's pressuring you. But the next aspect of pre-firing is to basically pre-fire when your opponent's editing on you. So let's say here, for example, I'm pushing my opponent's box and they're trying to edit on me. What I want to do is I want to be up here on the ramp so I can easily get out. So for example, if they come out and try to cone me, for example, I can just kind of jump up and get out of there. Whereas if I'm closer in the box to my opponent, they can basically just edit out, cone me, and then I'm screwed. So no matter which way you're approaching it, whether you're approaching it on a ramp, whether you're approaching it from like a box away like this, where you can kind of just like reset that if they're editing on you, whatever you're doing, you basically always want to have a way out. So from here, basically, when your opponent tries to edit on you, a thing you can do in this situation is try to shoot them right as they edit. So for example, he's going to try to edit on me right now. Boom, I hit a shot just like that. And as you can see, I hit that shot and then I immediately place the floor right below me so I don't get hit back. And that is something so powerful. Of course, the same thing applies when you're right in front of a box and they're trying to edit on you, just like this. Boom, easy shot. And yeah, that's another aspect of pre-firing. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little bit more difficult when your opponent's on a really good peak, but you can still do it. But the fundamental concept of pre-firing still remains. It's an incredibly important skill to have. Whether you're doing it through the wall like we went over earlier, or whether you're doing it on your opponent's edit, being able to pre-fire and get a shot off when your opponent makes a mistake is so powerful. As well as that, just being positioned in a way where you have a way out is so important as well. Because a lot of the times your opponent's going to make an edit where they're hidden. For example, if they do like a top right triangle edit, like something like this, then I'm not really able to shoot them. And if they jump up and try to shoot me, they're probably just going to have a better peak, to be honest, and it might not be worth taking that 50-50. So in that case, I can literally just get up here and disengage and maybe pressure a different wall and continue the box fight like that. So I guess that's kind of a second tip within that tip, but that's something super important to know. Basically, always keep your distance and have a way out. But with that said, guys, getting into our third tip, and this one is to avoid double pickaxe swinging. Now, obviously, when you're getting approached in a box like this, let's say that I'm getting pushed. Oftentimes, what somebody does is they just double pickaxe swing like that. They'll approach your box and they'll just swing like that. And the problem with this is your opponent can at any time just edit on you, get you in the face, and you won't have enough time to take your gun out. Just like this, for example. You can see, easy. It makes it so easy for them to predict you breaking the wall, so they can do that technique if they watch Teckoh's videos, or they can just straight up do an edit on you like that and you won't have enough time to build or take out your gun or anything like that. So basically, when you're double pickaxe swinging, that's a big problem because you're super predictable and your opponent can easily get a shot off on you. So instead of doing that double pickaxe swing stuff, what you can do is kind of mix up the way you pressure your opponent. So let's say they're in a box right here and I'm kind of just approaching, doing my thing. I go for a pickaxe swing. I kind of wait to see if they're like going to edit on me or anything. Maybe I go for a different wall. Maybe I start shooting the walls. Maybe I even go from the top a little bit. And basically, I just don't want them to be able to predict what I'm doing. And what that does is, as long as I'm positioned well, it makes it basically impossible for them to surprise me. As long as I keep my eyes on them, I'm all over their box. I am in the winning position here. And obviously, that beats the absolute crap of just walking up to your opponent's wall, trying to double pickaxe swing and getting popped like that. So with that said, guys, what I recommend you do every time you're pressuring is just try to vary up the angles, go from a bunch of different angles, and basically just don't make yourself predictable. That's the ultimate key here. Obviously, the main idea is specifically not to double pickaxe swing, aka just go up to the wall and do that because you're super predictable. But the overall concept of just not being predictable is also kind of the main idea at play here. With that said, getting into number 4, and this one is to get good at piece control. Now, piece control is a topic I go over in pretty much every single video, but this is a box fighting video, so it's extra important. Fundamentally, what piece control is just trying to control the fight through using your builds and edits. So for example, a basic aspect of piece control, or a basic example I should say, is just going up to your opponent's box, breaking their wall, and boom, placing something inside. Then you have control inside their box and you have control of this wall, so that's your piece control. Another aspect of piece control is something like this, where you like fully box up your opponent and then they literally can't do anything because they're stuck in all your builds. So in this type of situation, you're easily able to just edit on them and you have full control over the fight. So that's ultimately the goal of piece control, and honestly, piece control is a simple concept that actually takes a lot of practice to get good at. And obviously, I can't really show you guys every single piece control move, but I did show you a couple of simple ones right there. But I will show you guys a couple of quick piece control techniques you can practice in your own world. So one of these, as I went over, is literally just placing something in your opponent's box. So you can do something like taking the wall and doing a mongrel classic just like that. Or you can even just take the wall and place a cone inside. That way they have nowhere to go and they're super visible to you. Another really useful one is the side box. The side box basically consists of predicting where your opponent is going to go out to the side. So let's say I take their wall, for example, and I notice them trying to get out on that side. What I'll do is something similar to what I showed over there, is I'll basically just fully box up that side just like that. Obviously, I want to get that wall there, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. Another one is, say your opponent ramps right above you, you can simply box them up just like this. You can even place the floor and get out of the box like that. That way, every single build around them is yours, and you can kind of go out to the side and get an edit, or get an edit from right in front and break the ramp. Whatever you want to do, basically just full boxing someone on a ramp. And the last one, guys, is literally if somebody's right in front of you, you can just edit through and fully box them up. The only problem with this full box technique is that you kind of have to expose yourself a lot, so you do have to catch them off guard. But if you do catch them with like something like that, you can be able to do that pretty quickly. Honestly, it really is just situational, but those are 4 things you can practice. Also, guys, another map I really recommend for piece control once you get a little bit more advanced with it is Raiders Piece Control Practice Map V3. In this map, you literally have over 25 different piece control scenarios that you can practice in. It has all sorts of scenarios ranging all the way from beginner to advanced difficulty, piece control tunnels, and all sorts of other stuff. So with that in mind, if you're trying to step up your piece control even further, that's definitely something you should start using. I'll go ahead and put the code up to Raiders Piece Control map right now. Alrighty, guys, so getting into this last tip, and this one is turning around the pressure. So let's say, for example, I'm hit pretty hard right now and I have 81 HP. Obviously, when my opponent's pushing my box, I'm going to try to disengage. So I'll just, for example, I'll just build another box like this, and they're going to continue trying to get in. But what you can do in this situation is catch your opponent off guard, and as they get through and try to edit your wall, you can easily catch them off guard because they're trying to get through, and boom, easy shot. So I know that was a bit of a scuffed example. I'll go ahead and show you guys in full speed. Let's say, for example, I get my wall taken. I can't hold it. I go back. I build a new box. They keep trying to get in, and boom. The reason this works so well is because when you start disengaging, a lot of people tend to let their guard down significantly. For example, from his perspective, he sees a guy boxing up away from him and running away from him, so he's just going to continue going through and try to get in. And that's the situation where that edit is made and you get hit for like 120 and you have no idea what's going on. If you're the opponent, that is. Now, that is a super useful technique when you're boxing away from somebody and they continue going through the tunnel, but the same concept applies to a ton of other techniques. Really, what I want you guys to keep in mind here is that anytime you're getting pushed like that, anytime somebody's pressuring you, they tend to let their guard down a lot because you're running away from them, and that can give you some fantastic opportunities to get some easy shots off. The same concept kind of applies when you're getting attacked from the top. So let's say I'm like editing and making new boxes and stuff like that, and I have this edit right here. Boom. Easily caught off guard. And then from there, just look at this situation. They're stuck in all of my builds. Literally, this is all my piece control, and they can't really do anything. I mean, they can try to fight back, but ultimately I have so many different potential angles just because I have all this piece control. So what I'm saying is, anytime you're disengaging, anytime you're building new boxes and trying to get away from your opponent, they are going to let their guard down, and you should always be looking for situations where you can get an easy shot off. Basically, when they're putting that pressure on you, chances are they're probably going to make some mistakes, and especially if you have a lot of piece control, it's super easy for you to turn around the fight in one simple move. So always be on the lookout for those types of opportunities. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for our tips today. But with all that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on the most effective box fighting tips in Fortnite Chapter 4. Hopefully this video gave you guys some good guidance and ideas that'll help you win more box fights and become a better overall player. If you found this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you're new to the channel and you want to see more content just like this in the future. And lastly, if you want to show some extra support, then consider using code Teckoh in the item shop. It's 100% free for you. It only takes a few seconds to type in, and it seriously does help me out a bunch. As always, a massive thank you to everyone who uses my code. But with that said, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.